for this series of videos, I am literally just gonna speak whenever I feel motivated to, because whenever I'm like, okay, you're gonna shoot a YouTube video, and then I like fully blank because I'm not feeling like passionate about talking about something. So this is even better. So don't mind the iPhone filming and the sound of the cars going by. Sorry. I am just buzzing right now. I just posted a series of literally just chatty videos on my IG stories because I just came back from coffee with someone that I actually didn't know that well. Like, we were acquaintances, and we actually did like a workout. She teaches, Melissa. I'll put her at here so you can go support her. She's starting her content creation journey. She's an incredible human, and a couple years ago I organized like a workout class for charity where the proceeds would go to charity, and she graciously like led and taught the class, and then instead of like paying her a fee, she like donated that fee to the cause. So we had lunch, we caught up after like years of not seeing or speaking with each other, just, you know, like life things, and it was amazing just to be able to connect with women. Like, I was talking in my last video about how I have been wanting to be more intentional about the relationships and friendships that I have, and so it was just like so nice. Like, I obviously went into it feeling like kind of anxious because I have some level of social anxiety where I'm like, am I going to be able to maintain a conversation? Like, are we going to have so many awkward pauses? Is it going to be like grueling to get through this lunch? Because you never really know with people that you don't hang out with a lot. And it was amazing. Like, we just were like nonstop chatting, but like about stuff that matters, you know? Like, we were talking about the politics, the state of the world right now, and about relationships. And it was just, I'm just sharing this because if you have a date to hang out with someone that you don't normally talk to and it's making you feel uncomfortable, nervous, honestly, the way that you show up to that conversation, the way that I show up to these conversations impacts how that conversation goes. Because as I was saying in the past, when I'm not giving any energy to the conversation, or being like, oh, I like need to run, or like, you know, I'm not really gonna see this person again, so like I don't really have to like really try to connect, that makes a difference in how you show up, and it's gonna make it not a great hang. Whereas this time I was like, I am really excited to connect with her, and yes, I'm nervous, but also at the same time I'm gonna give it my all because I want this to be maybe the start of a friendship. And so it went really well. And anyways, we were talking in that hang about, as you know, like as entrepreneurs, like I was like, do you also get excited when you get emails? And she's like, yes, now, because often those emails are tied to opportunities. And that's how I feel, because like more than getting a text, I love getting an email, because most of the time it's tied to a dollar sign. And it's for like a really exciting opportunity. And one of my favorite things about being a content creator and influencer is like it's sometimes hard to have goals and dreams with this career, because I never could have imagined the opportunities and brands that I would be able to work with and the rooms that I would be in because of what I do. And so it's like you can't even limit yourself with your dreams, which I think, like, you can't say that for a lot of careers, which is why I tell everybody, every single one of my friends is like thinking of even doing content, I'm like, do it, please, because the world needs to hear from you. You have a unique perspective. There are so many pros and cons to the job that I can get into if you guys really want me to do an influencer specific video, but it allows you a certain type of freedom that I don't think you get in a lot of other careers where you're like tied to a 9-to-5 or like things like that. Anyways, so I got like some really exciting emails, and we are both, Dan and I were asked to lead a shoe Saucony, I don't know how to pronounce the brand, but it's like the running shoe brand, in partnership with Plenty. They asked us to throw a workshop where we're gonna be like leading people in customizing their own shoes, which is so on brand and like so fun. I just, like I was saying, like I can't even think of these type of opportunities. And I was telling my manager, like, obviously, yes, I want to get paid, but at the end of the day, like, I don't even, no matter how much money it is, I want to do it because I want the experience, and it just sounds like an incredible thing to do, and it sounds great for community. And I did say earlier, like, when emails come with a dollar sign, I used to feel very guilty because people would make me feel very guilty. But at the end of the day, like, I care about money and there is no shame in that. And I used to feel like there was, but especially for someone where I'm like, did you grow up getting food from the food banks? Did you grow up, you know, like with your parents financially stressed all the time because they didn't know, you know, like if we would have enough for X, Y, and Z? Like, if you didn't grow up in that situation, please don't talk to me about whether or not you think I should care about money, because I have seen what it directly affects. And I am also unlearning a scarcity mindset and all of these things. But money is security. Money is the ability for me to give me and my children a life that I feel like I didn't have, that my parents worked so hard to try to give me the opportunity so that I could have that for myself and my kids and my future generations. So yeah, whenever a campaign comes through, like, and I see dollar signs, it excites me. Okay, it doesn't make me feel bad about it. And that has gotten me into some hot water before, and that is something I want to talk about in the future. Specifically, like, I had to turn down a brand campaign a couple weeks ago, actually. It was 5 figures, and I immediately said yes, because I was like, what they wanted me to talk about was something that I felt very passionate about. They wanted me to talk about like women in TV and like in film, which like I consume heavily. Like, I love TV, always have. And so I was like, amazing, this is like so easy for me to do. But it was for a brand that I couldn't immediately, I was like, gut check, I was like, oh, not the first brand I would want to work with, but dollar signs and something I can passionately talk about. And so I said yes. But then later that night, I said I would talk about this later, but I'm talking about it now. Later that night, I just couldn't shake the feeling, because something similar had happened years ago, and I never talked about it. This I will actually have to make a whole video for next time, but it shook me to my core, to the point where I questioned if I was a good person. I fully was gonna step away from being a content creator. I told my management I quit, I don't want to do this anymore. And it took me years to recover from it, and it still has ramifications now to this day, which is why I found it really difficult, even though I started on YouTube being super vulnerable. Like, how to get over a breakup was one of my first videos, where I was literally crying on camera, actively going through a breakup as I made it. And that is who, like, this is how I want to show up on YouTube. And I stopped doing it because I was so scared of sharing anything about myself, because of how backlash made me feel. Long story short, I ended up saying no to this brand. And that was a really difficult thing for me to do, because when you're coming from a place of everything is getting more expensive, there's inflation, I have a family to support. At the end of the day, what I had to realize is it worth my mental health? If I do this, and if I already feel some type of way, when that content comes out, am I going to keep feeling some type of way? That affects every single thing that I experience. It affects my relationship with myself, my husband, my kids. It affects my ability to get out of bed in the morning. It affects my sense of like, is that worth whatever amount of money they are willing to pay me? Granted, if it was 3 figures, I would have done it. Maybe. I would think about it more. But anyways, I think that's something that people don't always think about when it comes to partnerships and influencers, because I think a lot of people just assume that we're made of money. Because that is kind of like, you're getting free, like, sent free things, you're going to these fancy events. Like, there are so many perks, but free gifts and follower count and fancy events does not equal mortgage getting paid, bills getting paid, groceries being paid for. And I think people forget that sometimes. And so that's why it means so much, like, when people do support your sponsored content, because that is, at least for the type of creator that I am, I don't make money outside of YouTube. And even then, like, my views aren't like crazy high that I'm making like thousands of dollars. I think the most I've made is maybe like 600 a month on views, and that was when I had like a lot of views. And so, like, primarily the type of content creator that I am, I get paid, like, my salary is predominantly made up of brand partnerships. And so to be able to work with brands that, oh, I'm circling back, I finally made it back. I was scared I wouldn't make it back here, because sometimes I fully lose track. But to be able to work with brands that I really enjoy, and to do things that I really love and enjoy, is such a privilege, and I know I worked really hard to be here, and I know a lot of people don't think that this is a real job, but until you actually do it, I think then you'll realize how much work actually goes into it. So I know I put in a lot and I deserve to be here, but I do feel such a privilege to be able to have opportunities that really fuel me. And I felt like because I said no to that opportunity that didn't feel in alignment with who I was as a person, that if you believe in like, you know, like the universe and like signs and things like that, like I feel like I am being rewarded, because I knew when I did that, I was like, I have to believe that when I say no to this, better things are coming. I am doing this in alignment with myself because it feels good to me. And even though I'm taking the L right now, it will come back. And it is. And even though this campaign is not as much money, I literally texted my manager a couple of weeks ago, and every time I have management, they ask me like, what are your top 5 brands that you would like to work with? So they kind of know like what direction you want to go for, like who they can reach out to see if they want to work with you. It's insightful in a lot of ways. And so I gave her that list like when I first started working with her. And then the other day I was like, oh my God, I remember years ago, I think in like 2018 or something like that, I went on a brand trip with Maison to Whistler, and I made a YouTube video about it. And I absolutely love their fragrances. Like, to be completely honest, like in the last couple, like I love the way that fragrances smell, but my brain doesn't always like, it can be very overpowering, and so then it can just like feel very overstimulating to me. So like I'll have fragrances because I like the smell of them, but I wouldn't wear them as frequently. And then something switched in the last like year, and it's predominantly with the Margiela fragrances. I don't know why. Sometimes other ones are a little bit too strong for me or whatever, and I can wear the Margiela ones and be totally fine. And so they are actually genuinely one of my favorite brands. And From the Garden, I talk about it so much, but I love it. It like smells like earth and tomato. I will save this for the sponsored content, but all of that to say, I'm doing a video with them. I'm doing a campaign, and it feels like alignment. It just makes me so happy, because so many times like I've thought about, like I've wanted to do something else, even though I feel like I'm so good at creating content and I love storytelling, and I like it just, there are so many ups and downs that like I just felt like, is this my true purpose? Is this is it giving me joy and life the way that it used to, or that I think it would if I did something else? And it just feels like things are coming together. And I think that's a really big part of me turning 30. Or it's not even about the number. It's just about this phase in my life where everything that felt so difficult, I was telling this to my therapist, everything that felt so difficult about my 20s is just finally clicking. It's just finally clicking in my brain. And it feels easier now. And I used to always wish like, why can't I speed it up? Why can't I speed it up? Like, I just want to be 30 and flirty and thriving, and like everything is just, I just know I can make better decisions. I can have a different mindset, but like you have to struggle through it, through all of the gunk and the hurt and the everything, to get to a place where you can be like, oh my God, it's clicking. It doesn't feel so hard. It doesn't have to be like such an active uphill battle. And like, obviously not everything is perfect. There's still gonna be things all the time, but I just feel so much gratitude in a way that I haven't felt in previous years, and like a sense of knowing that, like truly knowing that like everything is working out exactly as it's supposed to. And when it feels hard, and I know I'm very privileged in being able to say this, especially in the state of the world right now, and I feel like that's also kind of where this gratitude comes from, is that I know that nothing in life is promised. And this is turning like really, I'm getting real passionate right now. But like nothing in life is promised. And this mindset helped me a lot with the challenges of parenting. What a privilege it is to be overstimulated. I saw this in real. What a privilege it is to be overstimulated by your child wanting to tell you about their favorite thing, that them wanting to be close to you all the time. That doesn't mean that it's not hard, but what a privilege it is. And I look at like, there's so many moments that like Dan and I will just look at each other like multiple times throughout the day, and it's just like the kids are being like so kind to each other, and we're like all cuddling, or like they're playing. And so many times where we never used to do this, and we only started doing this after our separation, where we just look at each other and be like, blessings. Because we're all in good health right now. We are all here together. We have a house, we have good food, we have the ability to pay our bills. Nothing in life is promised. And I can spend this time right now when things are actually good worrying about shit and causing that energy to myself, or I can appreciate for what it is right now, because I know that it won't always be like this. The life is always changing. And so that perspective has really helped me to be in the present moment and be grateful for the things that are like, I think gratitude in the past didn't make sense to me in that way. I was just like, I'm grateful for the sun, and like, you know, those things are important, but like, I'm grateful for, you know, like having a supportive husband and like things like that. But I wouldn't go deeper to know like what does that gratitude actually mean to me. So I don't know. I've talked about like a million different things. I think it all kind of connected full circle. But now that this video is getting really long, then I'll wrap it up, because I also have to go to Costco now. Spend like $400. Like literally, guys, the price of groceries right now, insane. I posted it on my Instagram stories, but like I bought a pile of groceries like this big. It was like literally graham crackers, I think like a bag of coffee, like 2 things of fruit, $50. Why is it $50? Like, anyway, so I'm gonna go to Costco. We like fully ran out of toilet paper. It's like my happy place. I love going to Costco. It's like, Dan doesn't like going because it's chaotic, so I'm like, perfect, I'll just go. Like, you hang out with the kids and I just like wander around, and it's so fun. Anyways, I love you guys so much. Again, as always, like if you have anything you want me to like go into more detail about, or anything you want me to talk about next time, then I will. Oh, I realized that I posted my first video, but I'm recording this back to back and I didn't post the first one yet. So if you commented questions in there and I told you I'm absolutely I said in that video I'm absolutely going to answer them, and I did not, because I didn't see said questions while I was filming this. I promise I will not film a third video without posting the first one, so I can see the questions and comments and things you guys want me to talk about, because I genuinely want this to be a conversation. Okay, like I want this to be a two-way street. So I love you guys so much. Have an amazing, beautiful day. You're exactly where you need to be, and I promise you, whatever you're feeling, you are not alone. I promise you, because all the dread and the existential crisis that we feel, and the pressure and the stress and like all of that, every single person that I am talking to right now feels it. And you are not alone for feeling alone. You are not alone for feeling like you should be somewhere else, doing something else, not doing enough, too old for this, too young for that. Like, you're not alone. I love you, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.